The Redmi 13 is a nice little entry-level phone. Well, not in the literal sense, seeing how its 6.79-inch display is actually quite large. The Redmi 13 isn't the cheapest phone in Redmi's current roster. You can go even lower with, say, the Redmi 13C. Still, a base 6GB per 128GB Redmi 13 will run you just $180/€170. That's potentially a good deal, especially if you value highly a good camera experience. The Redmi 13 is the first in the Redmi number series with a 108MP main camera. It looks impressive on paper, and there seem to be only a few obvious competitors in the price range offering a similar main camera. The Redmi 13 does come with some corners cut here and there. For one, it is a 4G phone, rocking one of the older Helio chipsets. Well, it's old on the inside. The Helio G91 Ultra just isn't all that impressive. And it is paired with eMMC 5.1 storage chips, which are pretty sluggish by today's standards. The Redmi 13 also comes with a single speaker instead of a stereo setup, basic ingress protection and a rather unimpressive 90Hz LCD panel. On the plus side, the Redmi 13 does come with dual SIM support. One of the nano SIM slots is a hybrid one, which means you get microSD expandable storage as well. There is also a 3.5mm jack on the Redmi 13 and an FM radio receiver, IR blaster and NFC in some markets. The nicely sized 5030 mAh battery also supports 33W wired PD charging, which has the potential to be quite quick for an lower mid-range phone. Unfortunately, you don't get a charger in the box in every region. Pros: solid build quality with Gorilla Glass on the front and a glass back. Nice refresh rate handling with low refresh rate states. Solid all-around still photo performance. Cons: some markets don't get a charger in the box. Display is not bright enough to be comfortable outdoors and lacks HDR video support. Single loudspeaker and not particularly good. Virtual gyroscope and proximity sensor. The MediaTek Helio G91 Ultra and eMMC storage offer inadequate performance with frequent stutters and slowdowns. Video capture is limited to 1080p with mono audio and there is no EIS. Our verdict: the Redmi 13 looks pretty great on paper, particularly in the camera department with its 108MP main shooter. While it can indeed capture pretty decent photos, even this hardware highlight has some cut corners that are worth mentioning, primarily with video capture. It is limited to 1080p at 30 fps, and there is no EIS and just mono audio. We do believe that it's all about the details when it comes to the Redmi 13. That's how you discover some of its potentially important deficiencies. For instance, while we like its build quality, complete with a Gorilla Glass sheet on the front and glass on the back, it only offers basic IP53 ingress protection. The display looks good on paper, too, and we appreciate the extra attention to refresh rate modes and switching. However, it lacks the max brightness to be actually usable outdoors. Battery life is merely decent on the phone, and charging speed isn't particularly impressive either. It also lacks a stereo speaker setup, though we appreciate adding a 3.5mm jack and an FM radio receiver. Both its gyroscope and proximity sensor are virtual as opposed to hardware. And even though it runs HyperOS, the Redmi 13 seems to lack a lot of new OS styling. But the Redmi 13's biggest shortcoming has to be the performance. The MediaTek Helio G91 Ultra is just strapped for performance. It struggles even with common daily tasks. Even the phone's UI stutters at times, which is unacceptable even on a budget device. For all of these reasons, we can't honestly see ourselves recommending the Redmi 13 over some of its competitors we already listed. Thank you for watching. See you next videos.